All right, so we've got this document you sent. Some pretty wild stuff, honestly, connecting like biblical prophecy, Superman, even the Matrix, you know. Where do we even start with this one?
Well, it's really about truth and how we find it. Belief in a world that's kind of overflowing with information.
Yeah.
Like trying to find a single star in the entire universe.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm intrigued. So Superman, what's he got to do with all this?
Right. So the document uses this idea of Superman the godless. Basically, he represents that person who needs proof. The ultimate skeptic, always asking, can you really prove that?
So we're not just talking about faith here, then.
Exactly. This goes beyond just believing in something because you want it. The document says truth isn't a choice. It's like this writer, this powerful figure that embodies truth. Yeah. And this writer isn't subtle. They shake things up wherever they go.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up a bit. Who is this writer? And how do we even know they exist? It sounds kind of vague.
So the document uses this clock analogy. Imagine a clock ticking throughout history, and it's marking specific points. These points line up with when the writer appears.
And this clock isn't just some random idea, right? The document claims it points to actual moments in history, specifically moments that match up with the life of Christ. Can you walk us through that? How does that even work?
Think of it like we're detectives. We're looking for clues in history, clues that validate this writer's presence. And according to the document, those clues point directly to Christ.
So it's like a detective novel, but instead of fingerprints, we're looking for clues in history. That's a pretty cool way to approach faith. What about people who say faith is inherently untestable?
That's where the document brings in this concept of falsifiability. They're saying their claims about Christ, they're not just blind faith.
Yeah.
Because the clock concept makes it testable. We could potentially prove or disprove it through historical analysis.
So it's like they're saying, don't just take our word for it, check the historical record, see if it lines up with this clock.
Exactly. It's about having a framework, a way to talk about faith that goes beyond just blindly believing.
I think what a lot of people are thinking right now, and I know I was, is that this is just another way to make religious belief sound more concrete, more, believable.
I get that. It's a good question. But that's what makes this document so interesting. It doesn't shy away from skepticism. It tackles it head-on with our friend, Superman the Godless.
So in a world of, what do we always say, fake news and deep fakes, this writer represents something different.
Yeah, for sure. The document argues that the writer's truth, it's not something you just choose to believe. It's something that hits you, something that demands a response. It disrupts our comfortable little realities.
Which leads us to maybe the most important point this document is making. This clock metaphor, they say it points to Christ. They argue that the timing of his life, his death, the resurrection, viewed through the lens of this clock, it wasn't random. It was deliberate points in time that confirm his identity as the writer.
It makes you think, it makes you question what we consider real. Is it all just stories we tell ourselves? Or is there something more, something objectively true out there, waiting to be discovered?
It's like we're living in the Matrix, and this document is offering us the red pill, right? Okay, I think I'm starting to see how this all kind of fits together. But if this clock points to Christ as the writer, what about, other figures throughout history, people who also claim to have the ultimate truth? The document even brings up, the Hindu deity Krishna and this prophecy about Kalki the Destroyer. Doesn't that kind of throw a wrench in things?
You got it. That's a major point the document addresses head-on. It argues that the truth that this writer embodies has to be exclusive. If anyone could just claim to be the writer, then the whole concept falls apart.
Yeah.
Like imagine a room full of people all shouting, I have the truth. It just becomes noise.
Right. It'd be like our skeptical Superman just shaking his head saying, yeah, okay, sure you do. So how does the document deal with this whole competing truths problem?
Well, it leans heavily on this image of a sword that's always associated with the writer. Yeah. This isn't just about, peaceful enlightenment or gentle guidance. This document is saying there's a real force to this truth, real power that cuts through all the confusion and demands to be heard.
So it's not a democracy of ideas then. It's more like a this is how it is kind of truth.
Yeah, the document basically argues that sometimes truth disrupts things. It shakes up the status quo. And that's not always comfortable, at least not at first. Think about major scientific breakthroughs that challenge what people thought they knew. It wasn't always a smooth ride.
That's a good point. So it's like this document is saying, buckle up because this writer doesn't mess around.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. Because the document, it doesn't shy away from the implications of this one single undeniable truth. It suggests that this isn't just about some historical figures. This is about how we live our lives today.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. So how does all of this connect back to us here in the 21st century?
Well, think about the sheer amount of information we're hit with every single day.
Right.
News, opinions, social media. It's overwhelming. The document is asking us to consider, what if there was a way to cut through all that noise? What if there was something solid, something true that we could hold on to?
So it's not about convincing everyone, right? It's more about revealing the truth, whether everyone's ready for it or not.
Exactly. It's saying that maybe sometimes the truth hurts, but it's absolutely crucial for understanding the world around us.
Okay, so we've got this incredibly powerful figure, this writer, representing this one truth that can't be ignored, can't be denied. But what does it all mean? Where does this deep dive leave us?
At its core, this document challenges us to rethink what we believe about truth and belief, especially in a world where both of those things seem so, I don't know, fluid. It asks us to ask ourselves, is the truth we hold on to really genuine? Or is it just another story we tell ourselves, another illusion?
So it's not enough to just believe in something. We have to test it against something bigger, something real, almost like putting our beliefs through a trial by fire. That's a powerful image. It's like this document is urging us to become truth seekers, not just passive believers.
Exactly. It's about looking for those solid anchors in a sea of uncertainty. And that brings us back to the heart of this deep dive. If this clock is accurate, and Christ is this undeniable truth, this rider cutting through history, what does that mean for us today?
It's a big question. It's like the document is saying, okay, if you accept this premise, let's explore the implications.
The document suggests that maybe prophecy isn't just some ancient concept confined to old books. Maybe it's an active force shaping the world around us, a story we're all participating in, whether we realize it or not.
So it's not just about who the writer was, but about what the writer's existence means for us right now.
Precisely. It invites us to see the world through a different lens, to consider that there might be a bigger picture, a grand narrative we're all a part of.
That's a pretty awe-inspiring thought to end on. To our listener who sent in this incredible document, thank you for giving us so much to think about. And to everyone listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you buy into this idea of a singular, undeniable truth? Does it resonate with you, or do you see things differently? Hit us up on our socials, and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.